Thank you, you guys are kind. I want you to think about a place you have always wanted to go. A place you dream about going to. Where would that be? Mine is Machu Picchu in Peru. Okay, raise your hand if the place you're thinking about is also in South America. Okay, we have a few. Okay, Asia, anyone? Yeah? Oh, we have 1, 2. Okay, Africa? 1. Yeah, a lot actually. There was a man in the Bible, and he was also on a journey of his dreams. His name is Simon, and he came from a city called Cyrene, which is in northern Africa in today's Libya. And he really wanted to go to Jerusalem. And not just during any time of the year, but he wants to go especially during the Passover. Because ever since he was young, he hears all these fascinating stories about the lamb, the blood over the doorframe, and the angel of death will come and they will pass over them. And so he didn't care, even though if this journey is going to be 1,000 kilometers away. It's probably going to take him more than a month. It's going to probably cost him a lot of money. But he didn't care. And so he took his 2 sons and they went to Jerusalem. He finally got there and he was so excited. He sees a lot of people, but he was also a bit confused because there seems to be a commotion going on. Some people are shouting. There are people crying. What's going on? So taking his 2 sons, he walked closer to the crowd. And there he saw soldiers leading Jesus, or leading 3 criminals down on the parade. They were carrying the cross. And there's one of them that the people especially want him killed. And on his sign it says, "The King of the Jews." Now we've been going through a sermon series called #Jesus, where we look at the last 24 hours of Jesus' life and see how he has freed us from multiple of things. We started with Jesus having the Last Supper with his disciples, and then we move on to look at Jesus' prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane, where he asked his Father to please take this cup away from me, yet not my will, but your will be done. Then last week, we looked at Peter, how he denied Jesus 3 times out of fear, and that Jesus also came to free us from fear as well. So today we will pick up from where we left off after Jesus' arrest, and we'll focus on the journey where Jesus left the court of Pilate, and we'll follow him all the way until he reached the crucifixion site. And we'll see during this journey, not only did Jesus suffer physical pain, but also mental humiliation and shame as well. So let's look at together today's passage. This is in Mark chapter 15, verses 15 to 24. It says, wanting to satisfy the crowd, Pilate released Barabbas to them. He had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. The soldiers led Jesus away into the palace, that is the praetorium, and called together the whole company of soldiers. They put a purple robe on him, then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on him. And they began to call out to him, "Hail, King of the Jews!" Again and again they struck him on the head with a staff and spit on him. Falling on their knees, they paid homage to him. And when they had mocked him, they took off his purple robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him out to crucify him. Now a certain man from Cyrene, Simon, the father of Alexander and Rufus, was passing by on his way in from the country, and they forced him to carry the cross. They brought Jesus to the place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. Then they offered him wine mixed with myrrh, but he did not take it. And they crucified him. Dividing up his clothes, they cast lots to see what each would get. Now the crucifixion is hands down the most horrific form of punishment. Not only does it give you extreme physical pain, but it also strips you from all kinds of dignity. It's a total punishment. Now the walls of Jerusalem, the hills of Golgotha is located just right outside of the walls of Jerusalem. And there the people were standing around. They were mocking Jesus. And I wonder, why were these people so mean to Jesus? I mean, just a week before, they were welcoming him. as Jesus was entering Jerusalem on a donkey, they welcomed him as the Prince of Peace. They cheered for him. They put their clothes on the road. They put the branches of trees on the street as a sign of submission to him. But just a week later, they're mocking him and they want him dead. What happened? The way that the people were mocking Jesus showed us a little bit of what is in their heart. The people were looking at the parade, right? They see these two thieves and they're carrying the cross. Okay, they're robbers and they're being punished. That makes sense. I mean, I understand this picture. But Jesus, you said you're the king. Your claims are so great, but your ways are so weak. I mean, let me tell you what a king should look like. I'm expecting my Messiah to come and overthrow the Roman rule. I mean, it's about time now, right? But you're going to die. I'm so disappointed. If you were the king, I could not spit on you. If you're the Messiah, I cannot do this to you and do that to you. And they cannot fit into their little brain just what good this can bring. And so they're witnessing the greatest thing that has ever happened in history, and they missed it. They're expecting a Messiah that will solve their immediate needs, and when it didn't happen, they mock. If Jerusalem is a symbol for God's people, they welcome him on one end, and on the other end, they reject him. I wonder if we couldn't see a little bit of ourselves in this picture. A part of us, we worship God, but at the same time, we mocked him. We welcome a God that brings blessings, but as soon as the things didn't turn out the way we want, we become hard. We despise. We come to church and we sing praises, but we don't want God to rule the other parts of our lives. We don't want to give up our pride. And we say, if you're my God, you would have given me this thing that I've always wanted. You wouldn't let these things happen to me. And we seem to know better than God just how life is supposed to go. So the crowd completely missed the point. But here, it's part of the scripture, it's where it becomes so ironic. It's so ironic that it's cool. Okay, the people think that they are being ironic by giving Jesus the crown of thorns. Because you said you're the king. And they give him the purple robe because you're so royal, right? They fake worship him and said, if you are the Messiah, why don't you come down from the cross and save yourself? But right here, the irony of the irony is true. Because while they're mocking Jesus, they're actually correctly identifying who he really is. Being the king of the Jews requires him to stay on the cross. Because all this humiliation, all this torture showed us what we humans are capable of. I mean, anger, greed, fear, and pride. And it is exactly because of these reasons that Jesus had to die. And the more the people mock Jesus, the more they actually need Jesus. And being the real king of the Jews required him to continue to walk toward the crucifixion site. And part of the sacrifice is accepting and taking this humiliation and shame as well. But why did Jesus have to become that suffering servant? Because when Jesus was on earth, he was already giving the people what they need. He gave them what they want. He was healing the sick. He was driving out demons. He even raised Lazarus from the dead. I mean, he's the creator of the earth. So a few nails couldn't hold him to the cross. And when he was up in the heaven with God, he was already glorifying the Father. Right? The Father was already delighted in him. So what was missing where he was? Us. He was missing us. And in order to bring us back, there needs to be a price to pay. There needs to be a ransom. Because in Leviticus chapter 17, verses 11, it says, "It is the blood that makes atonement for one's life, the holy God is not going to just let sin slip away. Someone needs to pay for the price. And if Jesus had come down from the cross, he would be saying, there is a limit to love, after all. But instead, he fulfilled the prophecy in Isaiah 53 to the end. It says, surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering. Yet we consider him punished by God, stricken by him, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him.